Donald Trump claims there's going to be foreign interference in our election. And maybe he's right. The Blaze reports nearly 20,000 fake U.S. driver's licenses from China and other countries seized at Chicago Airport. Another 2,000 counterfeit U.S. driver's licenses were intercepted at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. Oh boy, look at all these. Now, there's no connection I can make, with any hard proof that this has anything to do with foreign interference. But it gets me thinking, one of the problems we're going to have right now, Democrats want universal mail-in voting. Why? They say for COVID. Okay, I get it. Then the Democrats say they want to remove signature verification. What? Why? Why that? Then they want to remove voter ID. 37 states, my understanding, have voter ID laws. Those are on the books. Mail-in voting may or may not happen. Voter signature is also on the books in some places, not all of them. So what could someone possibly do with fake IDs? Perhaps the ID has an image of a person, but the name of somebody who's deceased or no longer lives in a certain area. They can now go into states that have voter ID laws. They can say, this is me, and then they can vote for that person. It allows them to bypass voter ID. It's that simple. It shows us that voter ID is not enough to secure our elections. But at a time when we are complaining about foreign interference, whether it's Russia, China, or Iran, according to U.S. intelligence officials, why would we get rid of signature verification? That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. The Democrats coming out and saying remove signature verification is, to me, an admission that they are trying to cheat. The one thing everyone's always said is like, well, but mail-in voting works because they got to match your signature to your signature on file. Not anymore. Or at least the Democrats are trying to do that. That to me is insane. Well, let's see what's actually going on with these IDs. They say CBP officers seized nearly 20,000 counterfeit U.S. driver's licenses at Chicago's O'Hare Airport this year. The shipment of fake driver's licenses were sent to the U.S. and originated from China and other countries, according to the report from WNYW-TV. Within the first 6 months of the year, CBP reportedly seized 19,888 counterfeit driver's licenses and other fake documents in 1,513 shipments at O'Hare International Airport alone. Federal customs officials say the shipments arrived mostly from China and Hong Kong, but there were some shipments from South Korea and Britain. Interesting. CBP said most of the counterfeit driver's licenses were for college-age students. Many of the same photo, but with different names. Ralph Piccirilli, CBP's acting area port director in Chicago, said the IDs were very realistic. CBP noted the barcodes on fake Michigan driver's licenses actually worked. Wow. U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers working at the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport also intercepted fake driver's licenses arriving through international cargo. I want to be fair. I want to be careful here, rational. These could just be fake IDs for buying booze. That's why they're young people. The reason why it's many of the same picture is because people like Joe Biden are racist, if you know what I mean. Right, let's read. U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers working at the Dallas, said they found these. In the last 6 months, CBP officers at DFW intercepted nearly 900 counterfeit driver's licenses that were delivered via international shipping services to the Dallas area. A CBP press release from April said approximately 2,000 fake IDs have been seized over the last 18 months. What's most disconcerting about these interceptions, besides the volume in which we are experiencing, is the ease in which so many young people freely share their personal information with counterfeiters abroad. CBP Port Director Timothy M. Lamaw, Area Port of Dallas, said, "We'll continue to collaborate with local law enforcement to educate the public and anyone who is contemplating purchasing a counterfeit ID online on the potential dangers of sharing your personal identifiable information with a criminal element." The CBP teamed up with local area law enforcement and local universities in the Dallas area to inform young adults about the dangers of providing their personal information, blah, blah, blah. So listen, it sounds like what they're saying is this is mostly related to people wanting to buy booze and go party. I think it's fair. It's also possible one person, you send in your photo and you get a bunch, you order a bunch of different IDs in case one gets seized or stolen by somebody. The barcodes work. These are legit. Counterfeiting is getting crazy overseas. We'll see how that plays out. But I'll tell you what, man, there is a real fear. And I think, to be honest, I think the Democrats are purposely trying to create chaos in our election process. And that's actually me completely agreeing, in quote, with RNC the RNC chairwoman, Ronna McDaniel. We need to have surety in our election. She's right. Let me read this for you. They say, when it comes to mail-in voting, Democrats are purposefully trying to create chaos ahead of the November election, Republican National Committee Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel said Monday. The president and Republicans have been warning about possible voter fraud connected to mail-in voting for months, while Democrats and the media have often pointed to a lack of evidence that it would lead to voter fraud. This is all coming from the Democrats, McDaniel said Monday on Fox and Friends. The president is saying, keep the system in place that we have worked. We need to have surety in our elections. Democrats are saying mass mail ballots. Let's not verify the voters. Let's get rid of voter identification. Let's get rid of signature verification. Let's have ballot harvesting, which has nothing to do with coronavirus. This is a huge problem. Please explain this to me, anybody. First of all, I think it's crazy enough that when we're counting ballots, they pull up your card, okay? Think about this. How many ballots are coming in? How many ballots? We're going to have, 130 million plus? And how many are going to be mail-in ballots? Not all of them, but a lot of them, right? You mean to tell me, let's say 1 million ballots. They're going to pull up your ballot. They're going to open it, look at it and say, okay, John Smith is voting for Biden. Here's his signature. Let me type in his information, make sure I have the correct individual, the correct address, and there's his signature, and we're good. You're going to check every single name properly? No, they're not going to do it properly. It's going to be a mistake. It's going to be chaotic. And that alone is a problem. Now they want to get rid of it. So what? They're saying this is going to come in the mail and they're going to say John Smith for Biden. Good for me. You have no idea where it came from. You have no idea who signed it. There's no verification. There's no person in front of you. Voting is one of the most important civil rights we have in this country. To me, this is nuts. During an exclusive interview on Sunday with Mark Levin, Attorney General Bill Barr addressed the issues. He said, the two ways we have been resolving disputes in our society in keeping the peace are discussion and voting. And right now, we're a very divided country politically, Barr told Levin. Our elections have been very close. They can turn on one state. They can turn on just a few districts. And people have to have confidence in the outcome, or we're going to have real problems in this country. And I think the people who want to experiment with different ways of voting right now, which can predictably create problems of integrity, are playing with fire and are grossly irresponsible. On Monday, McDaniel noted, there have been vetted systems with absentee voting. Part of the verification is actually requesting the ballot so that you know it is going to the person it is intended to go to, instead of mass mailing, sending ballots out to addresses that haven't been verified to voters who haven't been verified. That's a great point. With an absentee ballot, you request it. They know you asked for it. They're prepared for this. With mass mail-in ballots just go flying around all over the place. Everybody just gets them randomly. The way I view it is, it's like having a wedding for 100 guests and having 100,000 people show up. McDaniel said that the systems are not prepared for this deluge of mail-in ballots, and she is correct. They don't have the counting machines. They don't have the personnel. That's why it took six weeks to get results in New York. Could you imagine? We have an election day, and it takes 2 or 3 months to get the results. What that would do to the country when we are divided as we are? Oh, yeah. Who's going to be president come January 20th? Now, obviously, they can run these through electronic machines for signature verification. I don't mean to literally imply every single ballot every single time is people just going, back and forth. I was trying to make a point about how difficult it is already to match signatures. But anyway, the point I'm making now, 2 or 3 months. You got to be kidding. There's a deadline, December 14th. So this vote is moot? It's impossible to calculate on time? And what happens if they extend it? Marco Rubio says extend it. What happens if they do? January 20th rolls around and we don't know who it is, so Nancy Pelosi becomes president? Who becomes president? They say Trump vacates the office on January 20th and the new president comes in. There's no new president. Who's going to be? Maybe that's intentional. Maybe that's the plan. Burn it all down instead of losing. They claimed Trump couldn't handle the loss of 2016 if he were to lose, but it's been them the whole time. And in the past several years, everything they've done, they've projected on other people, on Trump and everybody else. So what's the game plan here? Everything the Democrats are doing is leading to absolute chaos. Now, to be fair, I don't know that the driver's licenses have anything to do with voting or whatever. I just thought it was, weird. And I think it's fair to say, for the most part, it's probably just fake IDs for buying booze, to be honest. But think about it. With IDs flooding in, they could theoretically even bypass, voter ID laws. It's a tough problem, man. I think we're in for a very serious crisis come November. I think most of you know it. I think the riots are going to get bad. There's going to be a 50-day siege starting September 17th in just about a month in front of the White House. We'll see if that actually plays out, but I think so, man. These people are there's a bloodlust in the air. You can feel it. The air is charged. The riots in Chicago, people are begging for a reason to get rowdy. And of course, they want to get as much propaganda as possible out in the months leading up to the election. Will it matter? I don't know. But think about it this way. If there's going to be a 50-day siege surrounding the White House until November 3rd, and there won't be any real results, what happens then? Are the people going to storm the gates? Maybe. I guess we'll see. Thanks for hanging out, man. I'll see you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. on this channel. Or you can check out the IRL podcast tonight, 8 p.m. live over at youtube.com/TimCastIRL. And I'll see you then.